Hello everyone, I am the Magic Bod, and today I am covering my first playtest with Project Griffin, a indie fantasy RPG extraction game that I have the honor of being one of the content creators brought on to cover it. I'm not going to waste any of your time, let's jump into it, and I'll say my thank you at the very end. See you soon. The game starts you off in a very basic lobby. You get to meet your fellow players, or victims. You get to test out your weapon of choice, the power you've chosen, which there is a variety to choose from, even in a very early game like this one. This is only the second playtest of the game, and I wasn't ready for the trauma I was about to experience going through this. Being gifted a chest in your first room, just open the chest. And after successfully opening the chest, you will finally be able to get your first piece of gear. You know how these kind of games go. Uncommon better than common, rare is better than uncommon, etc, etc, etc. We don't need to go too deep into the stats because they are very likely to change going forward with the development of the game. But I was very happy to have a brand new weapon that wasn't just a basic sword. I wouldn't like swords in these kinds of games. Ironic, I know I wield a sword as my VTuber. But here we get to have our very first piece of combat with an enemy. We have a basic skeletons, there are other skeletons that wield bows, there are goblins that wield staves, and a variety of enemies that will give you a general idea of how most of this combat is going to work. It's very easy to get into. I feel like as the game develops on, there might be more intricacies. However, it is a simple stamina-based system. You can see under our health bar, we have the little orange bars that determine how much stamina we have. The spear has 2, the sword has 3, other weapons may have different values. And with those different values, you'll have to employ different strategies, as every weapon has their own type. However, this game is very much your classic RPG. You'll have your warriors, you'll have your rogues, you'll have your mages, but the key difference is that you get to divide up how you want to play the game in any way that you want. You can have a spear and chuck fireballs, you can have a bow and be able to cast heal, you can conjure firestorms and be able to dodge roll wherever you need to go. There is a plethora of spells that keep the game interesting, and I am very excited to see how these spells develop in the future. However, now after some basic clearing and finally being able to get a sizable horde, but most importantly with any RPG being able to look tricked out as fuck, we are ready to begin hunting for other players, because at the end of the day, this is a PvP game, and we are mandatory storm effect are going to be dealing with people. But with any other extraction-based game, there has to be a method of extraction, right? And that is where we get to these gates and the necessary keystones to be able to activate them. The keystones are dotted all over the map, and we're going to have to come back here once we find one. Until then, our best bet is just to go looking for loot or players until... Oh, hello. And being the absolute rabid animal that I am, I immediately begin suit. However, there is a problem. I cannot keep up with him, I cannot chase him, there is no way for me to gain ground. I do not have the dash ability, which is actually an ability that I find later on for more defensive uses. Until then, I take solace in plundering our fallen friend, who I probably would have killed myself anyways. But we take solace in what we do acquire, and one of the key things we did acquire is a keystone. The keystone will allow us to head back to that portal we encountered earlier and finally extract from our first round. We got some decent loot, we met some people, but this is where I noticed a small detail. If you look at the mini-map, you can actually see pings coming off the portals, and this will be a very handy trick if you ever want to go player hunting in your own matches, and I think it's a very smart detail from the devs. After waiting the mandatory time for the arc to charge up, we do eventually get to extract without much cause for concern. There was no one around, very tiny lobby, so we just get out, we leave, and we move on to our next round very shortly. Second verse is mainly same as the first. We get to the same area and we meet our new target, Soapy. And me and Soapy immediately hit it off as PvP nuts love to do. I fucking love PvP combat in video games. I'm one level higher than Soapy. He's wielding a longsword, I'm wielding a staff, and this is where I noticed you can do something very interesting in combat. You can power swap. If you have a spell in your inventory and a spell equipped, you can actually swap them in the middle of combat and they don't share a cooldown. It's a bit tricky to do and not very fluid. Please do not pay attention to the fact that I am currently running off European internet and have that sweet 200 to 300 ping at all fucking times of the day. But we are going back and forth. Me and Soapy stay relatively evenly. I think, however, he quickly catches onto some of my tricks, and the fight starts going not my way. There really is no way for me to gain distance without a dodge maneuver. his damage is just too high and consistent. He gets multiple landings against me that I just cannot keep up on. Fireball manages to strike a couple of times, but the damage isn't significant enough, and Soapy claims my life, and the first time I die as I moonwalk away into the ground. You can't really let defeat get the best of you. I think these kind of games are amazing, mainly because it lets you retry and retry and retry. If you fail once, you get to try again. And this time we managed to gather a fair bit more decent loot, and I've actually gone for a completely different build this time, which is another reason why I'm interested to see where Project Griffin goes. Unlike Dark and Darker, which is currently the more popular and more established of this genre of fantasy extraction, you're restricted to one class at a time, whether it's the Warlock or the Fighter or the Barbarian. With Project Griffin, you don't have an assigned class. You get to do whatever you want. And it really gives like that sense of you are building a character of your own. You are building your playstyle the way you like. Obviously, you're going to have to improvise on the fly based on what is necessary, but it is a sense of freedom that I feel like a lot of RPGs do not manage to capture. I love RPGs for the reason of self-expression. You can tell a lot about someone by looking at what RPG build they tend to play, whether it's the meta, whether it is their personal favorite, whether it's fast, whether it's bulky, whether it's heavy magic or sword and board. I can make a personality quiz out of it, but I'm not going to. You remember at the start of the video when I mentioned I was going to be going through trauma? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is a distributor of that trauma, Professor Foxy. As you can see, we're going through our next match, and I come across another player. I believe this is Chizo. They were going against some skeletons, and they see me enter the room, and they immediately make a dash for it. I have the rune. I can extract if I want to, but I'm also desperate, and I love getting kills in these kind of games. Maybe a little bit too much, but we're going through, and I can't catch him. No matter what I do, I will not be able to catch him. He has lead on me. He is currently running to the other end of the map, aggroing every mob in the way, and the mobs aggro based off radius, not who they have targeted first. So I ended up doubling back the other way and just trying to get back to an extraction gate, maybe get some more treasure along the way. But I did not know that heading back this way would take me into the jaws of death itself, because lo and behold, who is coming up right behind me and through that doorway and immediately opening fire? It's Foxy, our dearest champion Foxy, who is also the one in the starting room, who has nearly double my HP bar because of all the stats they've had. Joys. So we immediately go into combat. Again, I'm running off of European internet, don't know if Foxy is European, but I'm going to, as any true gamer would, I'm going to blame lag for my failures. Foxy, engaging the typical submerge yourself into the floor trick to avoid half of my projectiles, has immediately chunked me down to half HP, and I've landed 2-3 hits against him, so it's not looking great. I'm going to make the tactical decision to try to get the fuck out of here as fast as I can, but that's not looking likely. I go to close the door, and it's hold E to close. Thank God I remembered this time. And I start barrel rolling away. As you can see, the dash ability is a very good one. I tried to hide in this room, hoping Foxy didn't see me. I probably should have gotten out of the side of the doorway, but we continue our fight in this room. I am now trapped in here with him. He is not trapped in here with me. And he also knows power swapping. I try to dodge roll past him, but he gets one last hit on me and ends my career. And this is roughly about the time where I decided to give up. I've been spending an hour, playing the playtest. I think I've experienced everything I can experience within the playtest, and I have to say, I actually had a very good time playing Project Griffin. I think Project Griffin has a lot of potential to be one of the games that shakes up the indie scene a little bit more, right? We have plenty of extraction games going around that have unique concepts or have these methodologies of combat that don't make a lot of sense or cater too hard to like a hardcore audience. I think the team behind Project Griffin has the opportunity to really provide a, how to put it, casual friendly RPG extraction experience that doesn't require hours of effort and hours of days upon days upon days of putting it in. Overall, I think Project Griffin is going to turn out amazing. I am very honored by the team of Project Griffin for giving me the opportunity to playtest their game, for letting me partake in their creator program, for being able to give hopefully productive feedback as we go through the playtests. I'll definitely be making more content on this game as we get playtests coming through, but if you want to be able to play Project Griffin and possibly hang out with an amazing community and partake in their honestly very interactive dev team, then there will be a link on screen and there will be a link in the description down below that will allow you to sign up for their next playtest. They're very communicative, they're very transparent, is the term I'll use, on all the updates and all the feedback they are getting. And I think this is a game that you should definitely at least give a shot at. I know it wouldn't be for everyone, but I have a lot of high hopes for this game, and I am very eager to see where it goes. Thank you everyone for watching. This is the first game review video I've ever actually done, and it's a bit scuffed and a bit hard to commentate on myself after a game. But if you like what I do, I'm going to make more of an effort to be here, be present on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. It would definitely help me a long way. And overall, thank you for your time, thank you for your presence, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.